The Muppets is directed by James Bobbin and stars Amy Adams, Jason Segel, and Chris Cooper. And then it has all the people who are doing the Muppets. I know for some people the Muppets are a humongous deal, but for me they're not really as big of a deal. Growing up, I actually hated the Muppets. Don't ask me why. They didn't appeal to me. I was more interested in watching Arthur or Mr. Rogers. I kept away from the Muppets. Once again, for reasons I have no idea. The story of the Muppets is that there are these two brothers, Jason Segel and Walter, and how did the parents have Jason Segel and a Muppet? I know, it really is a dumb question, but just I was wondering. Jason Segel and Amy Adams are a couple, and he's going to take her to Los Angeles for their 10th anniversary. And in the process, his brother Walter wants to go down and visit the Muppets because he's a humongous fan. He has been since his childhood. They were his heroes and he looked up to them and wanted to be a Muppet, you know? So they go down there. After a while they encounter Kermit. They discover that the Muppets are really kind of a lost cause and they want to get the gang back together and they need $10 million to save this place and their brand name in order to keep Chris Cooper from destroying it and getting the oil from underneath. This movie actually reminds me a lot of that movie Country Bears. Remember that movie? Way back in the day, Disney movie. It basically has the same exact idea, even though the Muppets are a bit more popular, I think. To be perfectly honest, I didn't care too much for this film. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this review, but I didn't really like it very much. Reason being, probably because I wasn't a fan growing up. I think anybody can relate to the story of Walter where he wants to become a Muppet. You know, he's been a fan and he wants to be a part of them, like, you know, like anybody who's fell in love with somebody and they want to be like them, so they, you know, they look up to them and, you know, role model and everything. One of the main problems I had was that this movie kind of felt longer than it was. It dragged, actually, and I think they could have chopped it down without as many musical numbers. I know that people were probably expecting a lot of musical numbers, but there were just too many. I mean, I don't mind singing and dancing, it's just that sometimes the times when they did it was just kind of awkward and just felt out of place. The two musical numbers that kind of I could have cared less about were, there's one where Amy Adams is singing in a restaurant, and then there's one where Jason Segel and his brother are talking about being a Muppet of a man. Those musicals, just, I mean, they were okay, but I don't know, they just felt really awkward. I don't know why. They didn't seem to fit in the movie. In terms of the cast, I thought Jason Segel was really good. I felt like Amy Adams' character could have been recast. I didn't think she was horrible, but I just didn't think she fit the role exactly. Chris Cooper was, wow, this isn't really his role at all. I mean, I've seen him in, you know, like dramas and everything where he's like, you know, really himself, but here he just kind of felt ridiculous almost. I don't know. I mean, he gave it his all, but he just felt out of place in this movie. I don't know, not his cup of tea. I didn't laugh as much as I wanted to either. The Muppets that they focused on weren't really funny, and there's a ton of celebrity guest stars, and most of them I was like, why are they in here? And another thing that kind of got on my nerves was Miss Piggy. She was so annoying. Anytime she talked, I don't know, after a while I got a headache just from all the talking from the Muppets and the singing and dancing. I got a headache after a while, so. But like I said, I'm not really a Muppets fan, so kind of like everyone who saw Twilight, you know, guys who saw Twilight, not their cup of tea, so in this case, not my cup of tea. Though I'm not sure if I should compare Muppets to Twilight, which I'm really not, but now it sounds like I am. Crap. But overall, The Muppets is a decent film that I think a lot of people will enjoy. If you're a Muppets fan, of course, go out and see it. If you're a kid, go out and see it. I mean, if you like this type of film where there's a lot of singing and dancing throughout, then you'll love it. But it wasn't exactly my cup of tea. So, you know, I'd give The Muppets 2.5 out of 5 stars. You can hate me all you want, but it's just my opinion.